What's up, guys? It's Comic Books NYC here, and I'm back with another video. This time I'm here to support Simon Comics and his 100 subscriber contest milestone. So congrats, Simon Comics. If you guys aren't familiar with Simon Comics, he's a relatively new YouTuber just like myself, and he's got a lot of great content on his channel, especially if you're into Golden Age like I am. So lots of cool Golden Age books. And some Silver Age as well, and a lot of knowledge on his channel. He drops on Joe Simon and Captain America, which is his favorite character. Simon and Kirby and all that. So if you're into that era of comics, especially, and or just looking to get exposed to some comics that you may not have seen on YouTube or anywhere else, I highly suggest you head over to Simon Comics and you check him out. I'm going to leave a link to his channel and his contest video in the description so you can dig into all that content. So the rules of his contest is you must be at least 16 years old. You have to be subscribed to Simon Comics. You can be worldwide to enter. And you have until December 1st to get your contest video in, which is supposed to answer a few questions that he set forth. So the first questions he had, or the first entry requirement, was to show 2 collectibles that you love. So up here on the screen I've got this Flash Pop on the left, which is the only pop I have in my entire collection. I'm not a huge collectibles guy in general, so bit of a harder question for me to answer, but this pop of the Flash was given to me as a gift from a friend of mine. She's a really good friend of mine, and one of the things that we bond over is watching the CW Arrowverse TV shows. So that's one of the things that we both do and talk about with each other. And she got me this as a gift. So it's going to be, in my collection and something I'll keep as a gift. And something I'll always treasure because it came from a friend. And then on the right here, you can see this Amazing Fantasy 15 box of some kind. It's not obvious what it is, but it has been in the background of some of my other videos before. Now, essentially, if you look at it, it's a box, and it's got this plastic sleeve over it, okay? And then kind of looks like there's a book in there, but it's not actually a book. It opens up, okay? And then on the inside is essentially a holder for a watch, okay? And you can see that this is all decked out. And I'll show you the watch real quick. And here's the watch, which has the well-known Spider-Man image from the cover of Amazing Fantasy 15 done by Jack Kirby, and it's a pretty sweet wristwatch. So this is an official Marvel licensed product, and it's made by Fossil Watches. It's a limited edition watch, so I think it's numbered out of 10,000 on the back. This is 98,934, so there you go. This is my AF-15 watch. So those are 2 collectibles that I love. The next requirement for Simon Comics and his giveaway is, or his contest rather, is to show 2 comics that you would never sell and why. So let me get the holders up here. So that's a hard question for me to answer because I'm kind of a firm believer of the never say never type. So if I'm truly honest with myself, I don't know that there is a single comic that I would never sell, but for all intents and purposes, these 2 books I don't think I would sell or need to sell anytime soon unless some serious financial hardships or something came about. So this is True Believers Infinity Gauntlet #1 with a CBCS verified signature from Jim Starlin. And then this is Spider-Man 94, also with a CBCS authenticated signature from Stan Lee. So basically I would never sell these books because it's just sentimental value. They're both related to a Comic-Con I went to earlier this year in Las Vegas. I had Jim Starlin sign this Infinity Gauntlet in front of me. You know, don't care about the grade. Just wanted it authenticated that he actually did sign it. And at the time, he wasn't signing for CGC, and I wasn't really doing that yellow label thing at the cons. And I still am not, to be honest. But anyway, I was super happy to have actually met him and had a conversation with him. And I met some other people at that convention that meant a lot to me. So the book on the right I also got in a mystery box at that convention, which is something I almost never do, which is buy a mystery box. And it just so happened to have a book signed by Stan Lee with a certificate of authenticity. And I sent both books into CBCS. And if you want to know more about these books, there is a video on my channel where I unbox these books and sort of dive deeper into the stories. But essentially, I would never get rid of these books because of the sentimental value to me that they bring. And, you know, they wouldn't really bring that much on the marketplace anyway because, you know, one's a $1 reprint in a low grade. It is signed by Jim Starlin, and the other one is a, you know, non-key Spider-Man book signed by Stan Lee, which, you know, is something I don't really want to get rid of in my collection. I want to keep all my Stan Lee books, especially since he is passed. So there you go. So those are two books that I probably will never sell. And then next up, the final question that Simon had was, what is the grade of what is the era of comic that you collect, and why do you like collecting that era? So I collect comics of all eras, so, you know, going from Golden Age to Silver Age to Bronze Age to Copper Age to Modern to, you know, new releases coming out on a week-to-week basis. I think the only grade of I think the only era of comic that I have not collected is probably is Platinum Age, I guess, which is, you know, predates Golden Age, which I don't even know where you go to search for those books necessarily, but maybe one day I'll add one of those books to my collection. But I would say out of the ages of the comics, I would probably collect Silver Age the most. So here's an example of a Silver Age book. Thor 154. It's a great underrated Jack Kirby art there in the Stan Lee story. And I probably collect Golden Age now. You know, is kind of coming up close behind it as far as my interest in collecting. Just because both of these eras, I just really, really appreciate the history behind the books, not only, you know, as it relates to the publishers and the artists and the writers and just what was going on in history when these books come out, but also the personal history behind the owners of the books. Like for this Golden Age World's Finest Comics #8, which came out in winter of 1942, it's got writing all over it. It's got handwritten, you know, there's a kid named George on this book, and it's got tape on it. It's got, you know, I believe marker on it. So just the history behind, you know, a kid basically, you know, bandaging this book up over and over and over again, most likely because he wanted to keep it alive. Just that history behind it adds so much more value to the book. You know, as opposed to monetary value, it's historic value, right? So out of any of the ages of books, I kind of get the biggest kick out of collecting Golden Age and Silver Age. Probably a tie, but, you know, it's hard to get an insane amount of books from these eras, of course, because you're talking about larger investments for the most part. But So that's it. That's going to do it. That's my entry, Simon. I hope you enjoyed the video. Congrats on 100 subs. And looking forward to checking out more great content from you. And hopefully your subscription count just keeps going up from here. All right, guys. Have a good one.